Hello, everybody. Good morning. I hope you all are having a good morning. Um, I've been up since about 5:30. And I wanted to come and talk to you guys. Just really briefly. I decided to do a morning minutes today because I have a pretty busy afternoon. So, I wanted to come and talk to you guys because last night I was watching True Crime with Strategic. And I posted his channel on my community wall. He reviews a lot of cases, especially when it comes like to essay things. He is a detective, and so he gives like interesting perspective to all of the. Hold on, you guys. I don't know why I can't. Hold on. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. I couldn't see the chat. Okay, so he gives True Crime with Strategic. He gives good insight from the perspective of a detective. Good morning, Miller. How are you? I just wanted to come in this morning to talk to you guys really quick about something that I just realized. Because like I said, it's been a few months since I've been in and getting updates with the Celeste Rivas Hernandez situation. And so I jumped back in once the arrest was made. And so there were a lot of things that the web sleuths and Reddit were revealing, and the content creators were coming on and talking about in the early parts of her being missing. And I didn't remember all of the details. But last night, while I was watching True Crime with Strategic do his live, he mentioned something, and I was like, I forgot about that. And so what he mentioned, Celeste, seventh grade teacher, right? Good morning, Tess. How are you, boo? Um, I'm talking about last night. I was watching True Crime with Strategic. He's a detective, so he gives a very interesting perspective whenever he's reviewing these cases, especially on essay. He does a lot of cases that deal with a lot of minors. And but he through with his career track, he I think deals with all ages. A lot of them end up being children, but he deals with some adults. He's dealt with adult cases too. And so he gives a very interesting perspective because a lot of times he's looking at something, and sometimes he'll say something and then it'll jog my recollection or make me like think and switch like directions. So last night I was listening to his live, and he went to go play Celeste's teacher, her seventh grade teacher. So this is the last teacher that Celeste, or at least one of them, because I don't know if in their middle school if they switched classrooms or not. I know I did when I was in middle school, but I believe this was her science teacher. So I'm pretty sure that they probably were switching classrooms because they mentioned it was the science teacher. And so he showed the clip, and I had forgotten all about this. But he showed the clip of her seventh grade teacher discussing Celeste's disappearance. By this time, when the teacher was discussing this with his classroom, and I guess someone in the class was recording and uploaded this, and this is how people got a hold of it. But he was discussing Celeste because her body had been found at that point. And I believe the way he was speaking, a lot of people were criticizing the way he spoke, but I think he was trying to teach the children to be more responsible about their internet use, right? I think that was really the context of the conversation he was having with them. And I think he was illustrating and using Celeste's situation to explain to them why you have to be careful and be responsible when you're on the internet and then meeting up with people, right? And so he explained that Celeste had been to his classroom, that she had brought David to his classroom, and that Celeste had another friend of hers who was also a student of his. And there was a conversation that the teacher was having, and he mentioned in his conversation with the students that Celeste and this other student mentioned blackmailing this rapper, the rapper being David, right? He showed he was showing the class a picture on his phone, I guess for them to know he's telling the truth, right? Like they came into the classroom, I guess they took a picture right up against the board. Hey, Josephine, how you doing, boo? I'm talking about Celeste, and last night I watched True Crime with Strategic, and he jogged my memory about something. So I'm talking about the teacher, the video that was posted by the 7th grade teacher, the science teacher. And so the teacher was showing him showing the class a picture, and I'm assuming because of the angle that the video was being taken, that this was a student recording this video, right? And so, like I said, a lot of people gave the teacher a lot of flack because they did not like the aggressive tone that he was speaking about this. You said, did he tell that story before or after her body was found? After. And the way that because the whole recording was not released out. I think it was just a portion. Maybe the student only started recording at that point because of what he was talking about. I don't know. But I think what he was trying to teach them is how to be aware and alert when going to meet people on the internet. Like I think he was trying to warn, it was a warning thing, right? And yeah, exactly. So many other people just be were like making a big deal, like he was just had like just they felt he was too aggressive in the way that he was speaking. But I feel like he was really trying to warn them, like, stop going to go meet people on the internet. Do not go meet people on the internet. This is what can happen to you. To me, that's what it sounds like. And so, but the teacher mentioned that Celeste, a Celeste friend who was also a student of him, knew about Celeste's interactions with this rapper is David. And the teacher says, while talking to his students, that they were blackmailing him, right? This is what the teacher said. And I had forgotten all about this when the reports came back out and they had arrested him. You said, and don't get taken advantage of. You can end up dating the trial. Exactly. I think that was the overall lesson, right? And he probably was aggressive because he probably doesn't want to see this happen to any of his other students. But it was interesting because the teacher talked about the fact that Celeste and this other student who was her friend were blackmailing the rapper, right? And so yesterday when I did my live, and I was saying, like, I'm curious as to why they only charged him with the molestation charge, the sexual assault charge from from September of 2023 through September of 2024, right? But she didn't go. We know that didn't die, that she wasn't murdered until April 23rd or around that date of 2025. So it seemed weird that there was not some other kind of charge that he got in the interim of that for his interactions with her, because I did go look after I did the live. You said you don't think Celeste was blackmailing him as much as threatening him if she tried. No, okay, so just V. There is some indication that it was some type of blackmail. Let me just go through it. Let me go through it, right? But I'm saying this because I was wondering, and maybe the prosecutor's office just decided not to do it. I don't know. But I found it odd that they did not charge him past September of 2024 for any type of sexual assault charge, because in the state of California, the age of consent is 18 years old. And she the age of consent is 18, and because there's no Romeo and Juliet law, I checked that as well. And then it said that because he was 3 years older than her, yes, he could be charged with a felony for that time period as well, right? So I know sometimes, like, um prosecutors will decide not to charge more, but a lot of times, especially a situation like this, they gonna charge everything that they can, right? And so I found it odd and weird that they did not charge him for any sexual assault past September of 2024. What you said, just you said the PI said he spoke with another underage girl who said that she was at another apartment on Valentine's Day and he was going back and forth between her and Celeste. Okay, I'm about to tell you what I think, right? Because these you if you I you know I've been watching it too. I've been listening to all the web sleuths, looking at Reddit. I've been listening to content creators. And so this is just my theory on what I think, right? Because there's some more stuff about Celeste too. And it's important to like, because when the facts come out, the facts can go into any kind of direction, right? And no matter what, this murder, none of this stuff is this child's fault. But there are some additional things about Celeste and her interactions with other grown men, right? And so my question became, where was she? Where was she in the interim? Because the one sexual assault charge shows that it's saying that he had continuous access to her from from September 2023 through September 2024. There are no sexual assault charges. She was reported missing. She was reported missing. The family did have some indication that she was with David at the time of her missing. And this is why I think that it might be some ambiguity about was she with him the whole time. I honestly don't think she was with him the whole time. You said they may have only charged him with sex acts that they have direct evidence. I agree with that. And I think it may be because they know she was not with him the entire time. And I think the teacher mentioning something about this blackmail may have something to do. And I think it's possible that we might find out as the facts unfold that she was not with him the entire time. So, um, and the part that made me really question, you said she supposedly lived in an apartment that he kept down the street. Okay, and I was thinking, okay, maybe that is the case, right? But maybe that was the case. Maybe he wasn't going there as frequent or something. I don't know. I just find it awfully strange that they did not charge, like that there was nothing, no evidence, nothing of him having any sexual interactions with her past September of 2024 to where they would charge him for that time frame as well, right? Like that just seemed odd to me. Hey, Red Bunny Boo, how you doing? That seemed odd to me that they didn't do it, because you know when they pile on, they pile on. And with all of the forensic evidence that they have with this 40 terabytes of evidence, I find it difficult to believe that they don't have any information that shows any sexual interaction between the two of them past September of 2024, right? Okay, you say, okay, so they was living separately since they said, right, exactly, Tears. Remember yesterday when I was like, why is it emphasis in this murder charge of him luring her to the house and then laying in wait? Like if she was living directly in the house with him at the time. Now, it's still a way they probably could charge that, but it just made me, the way it was charged, it made it sound like this was the place that he lured her to was not the place where she lived. That's what it sounded weird to me, right? Um, Red Bunny, you said I was confused about that too, Carla, because they were together and had her living in that other house. How did he lure her over? Um, Hold on. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it sound the way that the press conference went, it was making it sound like that he had her come to that location specifically to commit this murder. And that's what was sounding strange to me. You said yes, but the apartment that she was in was his, or at least he was paying for it. I think he might have been paying for it. But I also think that there's a possibility, just be that maybe there were other people staying there, right? Because, okay, so the reason that Strategic, and like I said, he's a detective, so he's given a different spin on this, and he's been following this like from the beginning, right? So there were payments, big, not big payments to us as adults, but big payments for kids, like $9,000 payments and things that David was sending to Celeste. There was also some mention through the web sleuths, through Reddit and all of that, through a lot of the detective work, that there were some teens that were blackmailing him because they knew about the relationship. And I'm gonna tell you why that is believable, because um they were on Twitch and Discord publicly with this relationship. And remember the video that he took down where him and Celeste were on the live stream on Twitch, and he was talking about how he media trained her, and then she blurted out, um, "Yeah, you media trained me," and something. She mentioned something about raping teens, right? And then he immediately stopped the live stream and he cut it. So when I was talking about the 764 network yesterday, the extremist group, right? That's been labeled by the DOJ as an extremist group, not they're a nihilist group. And there was some conversation about whether or not David was a part of that group or some other nihilist group. He called himself a borderline nihilist, and some of the content he was into a lot of gore content. And I was saying yesterday that I'm wondering if the way and manner in which he unalived her has something to do with all of this. But in addition to that, the blackmail piece would fall in line with that as well, because these kids are blackmailing people on the internet. This is all a part of this shit is crazy. This is all a part. You said I have a theory, but I'll wait until you're done. Okay, okay. You said, yeah, a lot of people online knew, and some said they called the police. Right, right. And so I think that's what the police meant about an investigation. But I think the reason why they hadn't, it might have been a couple of reasons, just V, why they hadn't gone in yet to go after him for the situation. Maybe because they couldn't locate Celeste. Because maybe they did go past his house when they got the initial report that she was a runaway. She wasn't reported, she was reported as a runaway. So you said my daughter been telling me about Celeste and David for over a year now. The only reason I know, right, right. But Celeste, okay, I'm gonna finish this, and then I'm gonna talk about the mention of the fact that she was involved with other adult men prior to David, right? And why I say, like, I don't know if that entire time that she was missing, if she the whole time she was in the apartment that David was paying for, part of the time, whether he was paying for that apartment is part of whatever maybe blackmail situation could have possibly been going on, because I think we do have to leave that open as a possibility, because there are proof of payments being sent to her. This teacher mentioned something about blackmail, and Celeste and the student talking about a blackmail situation. And then you have dimension, like it's all over the websuits and Reddit that there was some discussion about some kind of blackmail of him to extort him for money, right? So because of what he was doing. Now nobody is saying it's right. It ain't just, they were children. So he was paying it because he was trying to conceal something and cover something up, right? So it's not okay neither way. Either way. But this becomes something that is a possibility. And so when she I don't I'm not confident. You say you follow me now? Okay, yeah, right, just V. See, that's where I'm going. So I don't know if she was there some of the time, all of the time, but maybe part of him paying for her to have a separate apartment might have had something to do with the blackmail piece. You said people seeing videos of Celeste at one, right, in June. a month before she was murdered. I think that they saw her at the concert in June, I think they said, of 2025, I think. Wait a minute, of 2024. Was it 25? And so she went, the last time they reported her missing was April of 2024. So I think in June of 2024, they saw her at a concert, and then they did see her another time. And they say the last time that the parents had phone contact with her was May of 2024, right? And so that's what was making me confused. I was like, it is so much, it's this big, huge gap of, if the parents knew, they have reported her missing. So what would be the reason that they wouldn't tell anyone that she was at David's house? It was emails and several things sent by people to the record label or whatever, trying to get her on multiple occasions when she went missing the other two times. So I think the reason why they probably couldn't locate her is because, just like people say, this apartment that he had her staying at, she wasn't staying at the house in Hollywood Hills with him like people thought or speculated, that she was staying somewhere else, that he may have been paying for her because she may have been forcing him to pay that. Exactly, Tiz, a huge gap, a huge gap. You said, is that video where it took like she's standing on a balcony on the stage, because that has to do with my theory. Yeah, I think that was from June of 2024. That was the concert, right? Um, so now, what the theories that have been put out there, and the brother of confirmed, Celeste's brother confirmed knowing this guy. So I think there is something to it. So Celeste, it was rumored that Celeste was involved with this grown man named Gustavo Morales, right? It's weird that he got another girl from, exactly, but Tiz, that might have been all part of the cover up or a decoy, or when it came out. So when it came out, because that's what I'm saying, that might have something to do with the blackmail. The fact of him getting somebody else with the same name so that he can say it was this grown adult Celeste and not this child Celeste. This might be all a part of the premeditation, right? You said just V. So is that the new girlfriend Celeste? No, he had this Tears. He had the grown girlfriend Celeste at the same time as the child girlfriend Celeste. So that might have been all part of his cover up of him knowing, like the process of knowing that he was going to have to do something to get rid of the child Celeste because of whatever blackmail was going on. Her and her friends, they might have been asking for more and more and more. That 764 network on the internet, they are brutal. Them kids are brutal, right? They, like I said, they are all nihilists. And this is where he meets Celeste in this chat room. You said, right, Carla, that was the cover up to make it seem like he was singing about, exactly. And also because since Celeste might have been threatening to tell, he could try to mask it with this grown adult Celeste. You said we on the same page, Carla, about that. Look, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that, I think that was all part of his plan and design for media purposes, right? To create some decoy for the media. If this girl decides at some time to come out and tell what's going on, right, with them, what happened with them. But so there was Webster's and Reddit had done some investigation early on, because at the time when they first found her body, a lot of people heavily speculated it was David, but you had some people who were speculating and thinking it was someone else. So they found that there was an allegation that Celeste was involved with this other guy by the name of Gustavo Morales. They found out that Gus, and this is who they called him, Gus, he was unalived in 2020. So it was no possibility that she could have been with him because she was unalive. He was unalive by the time all of that happened. But this was some indication that this was not the first adult man that Celeste, David was not the first adult man that Celeste was involved with. There were messages, these web sleuths got a hold of messages that took place between Celeste and some of her friends in reference to this guy, Gus. And there is some indication that something sexual happened with them. Celeste is indicating that the sexual encounter did not happen the first time that she encountered him, but and he was upset about it, and that's why she gave in the second time she met up with him. At this time, Celeste would have been around 10 years old, I think. That 10, 11 years old that this was going on. Um, Celeste's brother confirmed that he knows of this guy, Gus. He ain't confirmed that he knew something was going on with his sister. Exactly, Just be exactly. The brother didn't confirm that he knew that something intimate was going on with that man and his sister, but he confirmed knowing the man, the guy. And the brother also confirmed that the account that the web sleuths and Reddit posts were posting was his sister's account. Hey, Michelle, how you doing? Was his sister's account. So that is also making me think, like I said, these kids on this Discord, I told y'all yesterday about that Bradley Caden House. He was the founder of the 764 extremist group. He got 80 years in prison for what they charged him with a RICO for starting this network online to destruct civilization by mobilizing minors to uh act as like underlords, to coerce teens and vulnerable people into doing things online in the vein of pet mutilations, self-harm, and even murders, and then recording it. When they got to the boy's house and arrested Bradley Caden Head, they found, the FBI, they was like the most graphic images, like the most gorish images that they found, right? The boy was 15 when he started this group. 15 years old when he started this group. He was 17 when they arrested and indicted him. And they gave him 80 years for all of what they saw this boy do. You said the family was probably tired of going to the police. If your child keeps running away and nothing is working, I can see them saying, at least they know where she is and leaving know. And that's the thing, Just be, yes, I could see that too, but I could also see maybe they didn't know where she was. Because by them having this other apartment and him and her not being in the Hollywood Hills, if the with him, if the parents said, listen, it's been rumored that she's over there with this guy David, and the police go over there to check and see if she's there, and then they see she's not there, they're not, it's not a day, they're not checking daily. And yesterday, just I was saying another component about this is that her mother and father are from El Salvador. There is some question about the status, the immigration status of her parents, if they are documented or not. Now, the web sleuths confirmed in 2001 that they did have some documentation and were issued a social security number, but we don't know if that documentation was up to date. And then in addition to that, all of this stuff now going on with Donald Trump, that's going to ease up their aggression after a while, because Hispanics that are legal, Puerto Ricans who are American citizens, they don't want contact with the police or law enforcement right now because of all of this stuff that's going on. So all of this impacts their ability to try to look for her. And I said yesterday, in the event that they end up getting deported while she's missing, that's going to be a worse situation. So it's so many components to this that could have interfered with how aggressive they were, how aggressive their approach was. Hey, Cookie Boo, you said I don't mean that they knew the address, but just that she was with him, right? And so they might not have known his exact address, but the police, when they made the report, and if they told the police that in the past she had been with him, right? And it was two times that she was returned to the house. when she ran away, right? So clearly they knew something. But I I just, of course we gotta wait for everything to come out, but I am pretty sure that the police went up to their house in them Hollywood Hills to go see if she was there. And what they probably found, she wasn't there. Because they knew that he knew, she knew, everybody else at that point knew that that house where he was would be the first place that the parents would send them to go look. So more than likely, that's why they said they came up with another option, another place for her to be. You said sounds like Celeste and her friends blackmailed older men often. David was even seen giving kids money. Exactly, exactly. And he went down to their neighborhood to go do it. And that's what I'm saying. You are dealing with these nihilist extremist groups on the internet. They are made up of kids. Most of the people getting arrested for this are not over the age of 21. Out of all of the ones that I've looked at so far, I think the oldest one I saw was 27 years old, but that was just one. The rest of them are closer to 21 than to 30. And most of them started this very, very early on, because what happens when they go into these Discord and these Twitch chat rooms, they are grooming these kids at such early ages to with this stuff. They are, like I said, they're blackmailing the kids on the internet to do the things in order to create this gore content. So if they're blackmailing other children on the internet for the sake of getting gore content that generates revenue for them, why wouldn't they blackmail David? Knowing what they know. It's public as the situation was. You said, I'm curious as to whether there was an official open investigation on him. So this is what Strategic said last night, just being. And like I said, Strategic, I posted his channel for those who are not familiar with him. He can be a little brash sometimes, but I know a lot of times I know how to listen to people for context and content and not for tone. I can tone that out. I can tone out some of the things I don't agree with them saying so that I can get the understanding from them, their knowledge, right? So sometimes he can be a little bit aggressive, but he's pretty good. So Truth Crime was Strategic. Um Last night he was saying that a lot of times, like, a family will make a missing person report, right? But in the background, once the detectives start to look into the missing person report, whether it's a kidnapping or whether it's a runaway or whatever the situation is, once law enforcement gets on it and then they start looking into the details, they will launch a different type of investigation that they have not quite yet told to the family because they are still investigating it. And so he said, based on the way that the murder charge is defined with the special circumstances listed, and them saying that he murdered a witness of an investigation, he is almost certain that they already started to obtain some information about the sexual abuse charge. The sexual abuse charge that they gave him for the time frame from September 2023 to September of 2024, that was probably already an open investigation. That's what Strategic is saying. And they were probably either trying to locate Celeste in order to um, extract information from her. Either they had already maybe came in contact with Celeste, but she was continually denying. And I don't think that they came in contact with her. And this is why I don't think that is an option. I think in some places it might possibly be an option, but I don't think they came in contact with her, because if they would have came in contact with her after her running away that last time, they would have. I know here in Maryland, when you have a runaway youth that's refusing to go home, they will take them through the court process because they have to guarantee the safety of that child. So they might make an arrest of the child. If the child is like refusing to go back home, if they are trying to take the child back home, whatever, they might make some type of arrest of the child in order for them to be able to get the child back home or be into the custody of the state as a delinquent or something, right? So that is why I don't think that the police made any contact with her in that time frame. But Strategic was saying that it is very well possible that when when the runaway report was made, that then the police started to gather more information to know that there was something else going on, and may have been investigating that and getting more information. And that's why he thinks that when that special circumstance was added to the murder charge about the when that special circumstance was added to the murder charge about him murdering a witness to a crime, that's what that was, that they were already investigating that sexual abuse charge, that count. And so it this case is, like I said, we should get some more information, I think, in the next couple of days. The coroner's report, like I said, I think is I'm I'm wondering if the coroner's report is going to be released sometime today, because there is supposed to be a hearing tomorrow. So I'm thinking that the coroner report may be released sometime today, for us to get more details on the exact cause of death, right? But I don't know tomorrow. I don't know if the preliminary hearing is really starting tomorrow, because I know that the defense attorneys asked to put it on the schedule, but then and the prosecutor, Beth Silverman, she was like, I'm more than happy to move forward if you want to. But based on the amount of information and discovery, I don't think that it's wise for them to have moved forward with a preliminary hearing, the defense side. But I mean, maybe they have the manpower to look through it. I mean, David was a wealthy person before he got his record deal, because he was already making lots of money as a YouTuber. Like he already skyrocketed as a YouTuber and as a gamer. So he has the money to pay them, I guess, to search through all of that material within that little bit of time. But I think there is supposed to be a hearing tomorrow. I just don't know what the nature of that hearing is. And so I don't know if we're going to find out any more details from that. But I wanted to just come to you guys and talk about that, because that's something I was thinking about last night while I was listening to Strategic. I'm like, yeah, it is very well possible. While I was also thinking, like, did David unalive her in this manner because of his affiliation to nihilist extremist groups? And did he provide this as content on the dark web or something like that, where this is paid top dollar? This type of content is paid top dollar for? Like, he he has this alter ego that's a detective that solves murders that his alter ego has committed himself. And he talked about this in an interview that he did. He is a self-proclaimed borderline nihilist. So I, I you would think that a clear thinking person, would not be this obvious and put all of this stuff out in the front for everybody to see. But a lot of times these individuals are not well in the mind, clearly, and they flirt with law enforcement when they commit crimes. And his alter ego is a representation of that. Like, he talked about it with an interviewer. It's a representation of somebody who would have the characteristics to do such a thing. So we don't, this could be a mixture of all of the things and theories that we floated around. You said, I don't understand how you get money and have access to all these adult, good-looking women, and you are still fool. Exactly. Exactly. And this is the thing. Um, it's I David was a kid that was homeschooled. His homeschool was based on a Christian curriculum. He was very isolated. These kids are too isolated to where only relationships and interactions they know how to have is in virtual spaces. And that's a problem too. So there are lots of people who believe that he was groomed through some type of nihilist cult, nihilist group, whether it was 764 or some other group. Because the boy Bradley Cadenhouse, who was the founder of the 764 group, he was groomed by a whole nother group on the internet that was doing the same type of thing. So there is question about David's connections to a group like that at a young age, his homeschool, the fact that he was only allowed to listen to Christian music, he didn't, and then this, I, I'm just sorry, I don't. That's not good for kids. That's not good for nobody. It, it is so terrible in my opinion. As somebody who I identify myself with the Christian faith, right? To me, it is so terrible for any parent to limit their child to the understanding of one religious doctrine. Like, to me, and this is the type of person I am, I want my kids to explore so that they can know that what they believe in the end, that they have settled that it is the truth to them, that they feel that it is the truth. But you have so many people who come from these Christian homes where they are not able to do anything. That's all they are able to live, eat, drink, and breathe. And sometimes that ends up, that's why I said it doesn't, the family system does not always matter. Like when you hear people talk about black girls who come from broken homes, who and they feel like that these girls are being fast and all of this stuff. Sometimes it is the complete opposite person that ends up committing the same, and it happens just as often. It happens just as often as the profile that they give to these black girls coming from these single family homes, and oh, they too fast and they out in the street messing with these grown men, and this is why they got like this, and this is why they got what they deserved, and all this other stuff. But what is the excuse when you have somebody who comes from a two-parent Christian home that's taught traditional Christian values, who have been given every opportunity in the world to not fall into this type of lifestyle, but they do? What do you say then? And there's too many examples of this coming out. We have the same amount of examples of what they are describing that we have with people who are raised in fundamentalist, traditional, very ultra conservative Christian and Islamic and whatever other religion, Jewish family households, two family households. And to me, the family structure does sometimes have something to do with the outcomes and how the situation might be handled, but people, evil, waywardness can happen in any family structure. It is not confined to one kind of family structure. So I just like this, it's, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not blaming David's parents because parents do what they think is best. You know, at least most parents anyway. You said, and I don't believe in homeschooling. It get yes, it covers up abuse. And you said, he said, Brittany, you said he was devastated when he was pulled out of public school. Exactly, exactly. And that's what I said. And to me, it impedes children being able to learn social skills to social interaction, healthy social interaction when they are being confined to homeschool. Now, I know some kids, I do know some kids that are homeschooled where their parents do so like they I call this homeschool, right? And they have been homeschooled from the beginning, but they homeschool them and then they take them to go explore and do all of these things, different educational. Another person who homeschools their child, Pam Esquire. I think she homeschools her daughter. I don't think she homeschool her older kids, but her youngest child now is homeschooled. I do think that there is a right way to homeschool kids, right? But most of the parents that are homeschooling their kids, that's not the case. And most of them are attached to some type of religious institution. It has these ultra conservative rules, and it's one of the main reasons why they don't want their children going into the public school system, because in the event that their child might say something about their rearing habits, then their mandatory report is there, and they might end up into some kind of situation. So this is their attempt to conceal. They call it keeping the devil out, but it's their attempt to conceal what might be a crime. That's often the case, right? So I don't agree with it. And like I say, most of the people who are doing this homeschooling, they are two-parent households, very religious, fundamentalist, conservative households. So the teaching of the child, the family structure of the child didn't place the child in any better position than the person who did had dysfunction. They end up doing the same kind of things. And it might just make the difference. This is a thing that I guess would be worth examining and looking at. It might make the difference between whether your child will be the victim and whether the other child will be the perpetrator. Because what I'm seeing in a lot of these um, fundamentalist homes, when this crime comes about, a lot of them, I'm not saying there are lots of victims that come out of that too, but a lot of them end up being the perpetrators of these kind of shit. So that is an interesting thing maybe to look at when examining family structures to see what group produces what kind of outcome the most, right? I happen to not think that either. I think it can happen, but if people want to create stereotypes, especially when it comes to girls, black girls coming from broken homes, if they want to create those kind of stereotypes, what kind of stereotypes can you create for children who come out of two-parent conservative households? We are seeing a lot of perpetrators be produced out of those environments. And like I said, I happen to not want to even create that kind of stereotype, but we could go in that direction when having this conversation. So you said Jessica, um you said, and I don't like the pics that the media is using of Celeste. In some of these pics, she looks like she was 9 years old. 14 is bad enough. No need to infantile. Exactly. You said LA court cracks me up. The way they have them sitting behind those. Yes, there's no way to not look strange sitting over there. Yeah, well, I guess that just shows how many people might have outbursts in court. I don't know, because that did look crazy, just me. That did look crazy. Like maybe that's a sign about how many people are having outbursts in court that they feel like they need to have that up. It's like, when you go into the hood and then you go into the little corner store and they be having all them bulletproof things up. I guess that's what's happening over there in LA. And they need to make sure they protecting everybody. I don't know. Yeah, that did look crazy. It looked very crazy. Because I've been in so many courtrooms where I have not seen nothing like that. So it must be something going on, some reason why they got that up there. And when in as many trials I've watched, outside of me being in courtrooms, I've been in trials. I mean, all of the trials I've watched where people are being arraigned or having a bail review or what, I have not seen that. So that was like one of my first times seeing that happen. Yeah, that did look very weird. But you guys, I do have a meeting that I got to get prepared for. So I just wanted to come and talk to you guys about that really quickly because it was something that was on my mind and I didn't want to lose my train of thought on it. But if anything else unfolds, if we get information on the coroner's report later on today, I will come back and talk to you guys. If not, I will talk to you guys soon. Y'all have a great day. Peace.